BSO Firecom to all Broward Sheriff's Office fire rescue units and stations. Please stand by for a special announcement. By the order of Sheriff Gregory Tony and Fire Chief Joseph R. Fernandez, the Broward Sheriff's Office announces that today is the last duty day for Captain Vincent J. Rodas. After 30 years of dedicated service, Captain Vincent Rodas leaves us to begin his retirement. The Broward Sheriff's Office, as well as the citizens and visitors of Broward County, thank him for his 30 years of service and wish him a long and healthy retirement. Captain Rodas will be at Station 17 today, where you may wish him well. All units resume normal operations. BSO Firecom clear, $800.
Genzio! Congratulations, Cat.
Adios, amigos.
Good luck, congratulations.
Godspeed, my brother.
Congrats, man. You're
Uncle Vinny.
Rodas. Ringo.
My man.
Oh.
Now you can work on that golf game. Tuna melt's on me.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
All uniform personnel, attention! My major, by your command.
Family, friends, co-workers, retirees, we welcome you today to Captain Vince Rodas's retirement ceremony, and we thank you for being here. Chief Keefe, we have a few comments from Deputy Chief Tim Keefe for Captain Vince Rodas.
Good morning, everybody. Before I begin, I think the first thing that will be imperative that we do is Vince is going to have to sign this 855 for being late to his own retirement ceremony, so he's got to take care of some quick business.
Another one.
All right, we'll go ahead and start. On behalf of Sheriff Gregory Tony, Fire Chief Joseph R. Fernandez, and all the outstanding professional men and women of the Broward Sheriff's Office, Department of Fire Rescue and Emergency Services, I welcome each and every one of you to the formal retirement ceremony of Captain Vincent J. Rodas, badge number 12822. We're very grateful to be joined by his father Frank, his wife Kathy, son Shane, sisters Lisa and Bianca, and his cousins Vince and Mark, brother-in-laws and nieces. Today we have the honor and privilege to return Vince to his other family with 30 years of dedicated and tireless service and devotion to duty. How did the man before you today come to this moment? Born and bred in Passaic, New Jersey, with an Italian and Portuguese heritage from his mom Teresa and father Frank, he began with a passion for the ocean with a move to South Florida at a very young age. After graduating from MacArthur High School in Hollywood and a brief stint doing custom kitchens and woodwork while attending Broward Community College, Vince decided to hit the high seas, working on some of the first mega yachts for the ultra-wealthy for several years. Saving up his seafaring money, in 1987, Vince attended the Broward Fire Academy to become a firefighter and also to attend BCC in 1988 to become an EMT. He was quickly hired by Pembroke Pines Fire Department, but lucky for us, he was swiftly lured away by Captain Walter Dix to Broward County on December 28, 1989. Captain Dix had known him from his time as a volunteer at Broward County Station 65. Upon entering the fire service here in Broward, he was rapidly tapped to join the recently formed hazardous materials team in 1991 by Assistant Chief Frank Ennist. Vince has been in our Special Operations Command on our hazardous materials team most of his 30 years, and during that time he promoted to driver engineer and lieutenant in 2003 and captain in 2008. And at this point I always love to tell a story about Vince's first day as a lieutenant. It's always a great learning lesson. Vince came to me very early. I was his battalion chief, wanted to make sure, hey, what are my duties, what are my responsibilities, and this is the kind of individual Vince was, so kind of lay out everything, don't think of it, take off. So I come back later in the day, and in special operations, usually when you get promoted you get moved to another shift, but in special ops, because we're short, he had to stay on the same shift. So it's even tougher as a supervisor, because you're supervising the guys you just rode with the day before. So I pull up to the station for dinner time, and here is Vince out front with his firefighter, Silvestri, Fluffy, and there's tools all over the front apron, everywhere across the room. I'm like, what is going on? So the two of them are kind of having words and like, you know, hey, this is my first day as an LT, we're doing training. So I hear something from Mike, and I'm like, what is he talking about? He goes, just look at the calendar. So on the calendar, it happened to be a national holiday, so usually we have a little bit of a holiday routine or Sunday. So Vince and I always talk about on your first day as a supervisor, you always want to look at the calendar. So it was always fun to see that Vince had such a passion that he went with me that morning to do everything, but it just goes to show how quickly that Vince wanted to get there and do the job. In addition to being promoted ranks, Vince also was able to obtain his paramedic certification in 1996, his Fire Officer 1 certificate, his instructor certificate, his Associate of Science in Fire Science from BCC in 2006, and he also received his 100-ton Master Captain's license. On a quick other side note, I'm privileged that Vince is one of my five fire department godfathers to my youngest daughter, and that came to be because I got to know Vince in this era of the late 90s, early 2000s, when he was part of what I kind of now call the 1972 Miami Dolphins undefeated season in hazmat. It was our perfect season with the hazmat team. There was no fire or calamity too great that we could not conquer, and like Don Shula, I was so privileged to coach that group as their battalion chief. We all formed a unique bond at every fire, every white powder call that we ran, and Vince and the crew were just unstoppable. And that culminated in our hazmat unit receiving Unit of the Year in 2009. Over the years of his career, Captain Rodas has received approximately 20 letters of commendation and awards, starting with his very first year on the job, assisting with a patient in ventricular fibrillation, to as little as just 4 months ago, working a crash between two 18-wheelers and an SUV. I took great pleasure in reading one regarding some outstanding customer service and treatment of a patient in Lauderdale Lakes, where, and I quote, the young lady said, in addition to how well he took care of me, he had the most dazzling white teeth and beautiful smile. In addition to his exploits on duty, some people may not know Vince was the original Dog the Bounty Hunter, long before anyone heard of Dwayne Chapman, assisting at A. Abbott Kathy bail bonds. And of course, after the ceremony, Vince and Kathy will have business cards available in case anybody has a need. Vince in retirement plans on staying local while also getting an opportunity to travel and just enjoy life. In keeping with his love for the ocean, it's very obvious. Vince is a lighthouse to those of us that work in special operations community through his dedication, hard work, countless lives saved, loyalty to the citizens, and devotion to each and every one of you, his brothers and sisters. I know that he really considers you all family. Vince helps strengthen the brotherhood of our chosen profession and fuel the flames of a passion we have for our calling. I find it appropriate that an Italian toast from the old country comes to mind to close out. Vincenzo Giuliani, which means Vince, may you live 100 years. May you have a long and prosperous retirement.
Now the Honor Guard will escort Captain Rodas for his final inspection of his personnel. Now, to present Captain Rodas with his retiree badge, Chief Davis. Now, to present Captain Rodas with his helmet is Battalion Chief Decker. Honor guard. Flag presentation.
All uniform personnel, attention!
Captain Rodas, front and center. This American flag proudly flown over your last duty assignment here at Station 17. On behalf of the Sheriff of Broward County, Fire Chief Joseph R. Fernandez, and grateful to the residents and visitors of Broward County and the professional men and women who serve with each and every day for 30 years. Please display it proudly.
Now Captain Rodas' crew has a gift to present him with. Come forward. Now to say a few words is Battalion Chief Decker. Come on up.
Good morning, everybody. A few shifts ago, I was approached by Captain Williamson and then later by, just promoted to Chief Williamson. I'm a little nervous. And Captain Rodas about speaking today at his retirement. You know, naturally I was proud and honored to be able to do that, knowing that there's a lot of other people that I'm looking at in the back there that have been with him for over 30 years that could probably tell countless stories on and off the job about Vince. 30 years is a long time. I started with Vince. Me and him started in December of '89, and we were the last big group that was hired by Broward County Fire Rescue. And as Chief Keefe alluded to, he was currently working with Pembroke Pines before he took the position here. And back during those times, a lot of the departments used the same training recruit program for us to go through. So in the first year of his career, he actually did the training recruit program twice. And for all of us that have been in the program, it was tough, but Vince knew where he wanted to be, as I did. He wanted to work for Broward County Fire Rescue, so he accomplished that twice in 1 year, which is a pretty good accomplishment right off the gate. As I said, we were hired together, so over our 30 years, our careers have kind of paralleled one another. We were both on the hazmat team together. I ran countless calls. We were together after Hurricane Andrew, spent many days down in Miami with gas leaks and stuff that we had to secure. Unfortunately, after 9/11, the countless white powder calls that we've been on, and just working throughout our career. in November of 2008, we were both promoted for our last time. He was promoted to the rank of captain, me to the rank of battalion chief. And then again, you'd think our saying, like our careers paralleled one another. Lo and behold, I'm working next to Vince in Port Everglades for a few years, watching as that department was growing and doing good things, or that station was growing and doing good things. But his heart always came back to the special ops and hazmat, and lo and behold, that's where I wound up, back at Station 17. So for the last 3 years of our career, we've been here at Station 17 together. Chief Williamson asked, hey, tell some stories about Vince and different things that have happened over our career together. So, it's a cliche when you say brotherhood, but it's really not. When you come on the job with this guy, he's become a brother of mine for the last 30 years. So on the job, off the job, we would do things together. We've been on countless vacations together, and the first big vacation we ever went on was to Germany and Austria. We went skiing. Both single guys, had a good time. And at one point we were in a bar in Munich, and they have rules in Munich that basically the city closes down at a certain point. And unbeknownst to us, we're Americans, we're in there spending money, and they wanted us to stay. Well, at one point they start yelling at us in broken English, you need to get under the tables. And I'm like, well, what's going on here? So Vince and I are hiding under the table, and the policemen come by and they're shining their lights because they shut down the city. So they came, they looked, they saw, they left. We got back up and we started hanging out with the staff again. Countless vacations in between that. 27 years later, Vince and I both have RVs. We were RVing with our wives. And I'm back at the RV ready to go to sleep. And my wife goes to me, she goes, hey, got to go out and take the dog for a walk. I'm like, oh, God, really? All right. So I grabbed the leash, plastic bag for him to do his business, and I got to pick it up. I walk out to, we were in the upper keys. I walk out there, and who do I see? I see Vince out there with a leash, walking his dog with a plastic bag in his hand. I go, Vince, man, we've come a long way in 27 years, haven't we? I go, we were skiing in Germany and Austria and having a good time, and now we're picking up our dog's crap after. So, it's pretty funny. Some of the other qualities that I've always seen with Vince, he's always been passionate about his job. He's always loved his crews, current and past. He's got loyalty, sometimes to a fault, but he will not abandon his guys. His guys are what he's about, and it's a testament to who he is. Vince is a good sport. He really is. If some of you guys know, about 11 or 12 years ago, another off-the-job occurrence, he happened to go on the golf course with a golf club. And, mysteriously this pops up on Facebook every once in a while. I don't know why.
At least 4 times a year.
At least 4 times a year, especially on birthdays. But he's been a real good sport, and it's good that he knows that he can laugh at himself even in a time of need. Another thing, and this is one other story I want to tell, a quick story, I'll try and be brief, is we used to work at Old Station 32 down the road where the ME's office is. And, back then you'd have the police officers come in, they would eat lunch and stuff with us, and we had one motor cop. He was a funny guy. His name is Randy. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to mention any last names, but he came in one day and he's like, I'm running short on my speeding tickets for the month. Can you guys pull your trucks out on the apron so I can get some of these guys for speeding? So Vince goes, hey, keep Randy busy for a few minutes. And Vince made a sign and ran down the road about 300 yards and said, slow down, speed trap ahead. So the guy's standing outside with his radar gun, and he comes in about an hour and a half later, and he's sweating, and Vince goes, Randy, how you doing? He goes, man, I don't know what's going on. Everybody speeds on this road. Nobody's speeding today. He goes, oh man, that's a shame. Well, apparently the guy had to run a car accident or something. He came back and saw the sign. Naturally, he knew who the guy was that so
He wasn't happy.
He wasn't happy. Yeah, we had to hide Vince for a few hours. So I'm going to let Vince speak. This is his day, but in closing, Vince, after 30 years of running structure fires, gas leaks, motor vehicle accidents, and yes, even medical calls, Vince was a captain on a rescue for a few years and did have a lot of good calls where he saved some lives. Myself, we would like to wish you a long, happy, healthy retirement, and God bless you.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the man of the hour, Captain Rodas.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for coming. I have some people traveled from distances, Jersey, Virginia. Thank you. I want to first get off some thank yous. I know Chief Fernandez couldn't make it here, but to him and the command staff, I'd like to thank you all for the commitment to have a ceremony like this for our personnel. It is another example of what we do great here. All the behind the scenes that command staff does day in, day out that we all take for granted out here in the streets. So I thank you for that. To the pipe and drum, the honor guard, these people, they volunteer their time, their talents for so many different events, charities, funerals, promotions. You all are amazing. A round for them. A group of individuals that I believe don't get enough thanks, and it's the canteen group who brings us water and food when we are at big fires, and even wet towels. That little gesture makes a lot of difference to us. And if any of you guys are here, thank you. To my father, you've been a great role model, an example for me, a great husband and father. To all of us, I love you. My wife, Kathy, you're an unbelievable businesswoman, a wife and mother, the best skip tracer this side of the Mississippi. I love you. Get ready for this. To the rest of my family and friends, came down here, and the retirees that I work with for so long in the back, the blue group there, thank you for coming out. Love you guys. So, can this be about me for 5 minutes? Choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And maybe that's why 30 years flew by so fast. Seems like yesterday, graduating the fire academy, becoming a volunteer with the county. My first meeting, I went, Paul Davis was a volunteer lieutenant. And you guys probably know Paul on the canteen. And I had to go meet with him at Station 65. So I went to Station 65 and knocked on the door for my meeting. And who answers the door is none other than Andy Berkowitz. And I told him why I was there. And before he says anything, he yelled for none other than Ed Federkyle. And they both came to the door. They left me outside hanging. And then they invited me in on the couch. And that was the longest interrogation I ever received. They just tore me up. And so I knew how to play the role, play the game. And that's how my first encounter with some of the Pay County guys and what it was about. And that's when I knew that was the beginning of my career right there. When I was a volunteer, I was taken in by the Pay guys. Let me ride forth with them. They treated me like a new hire. Ray Herschel, Pete Medina, those guys really took me in. I'd ride along on B shift, and I caught several fires with them. And that's when I knew I wanted to be a county guy. Then in 1988, the city of Pembroke Pines hired me. And I was very proud to be hired by the city I grew up in. And I think the reason I got hired was they found out my mom was born in Italy, because back then there was a lot of the chiefs were Goombas, so I think they had a lot to do with it. Chief Gilmartin's here. Chief Shawnee Gilmartin, when I worked there, he was a driver engineer. He's now the chief of Lighthouse Point. And thank you for coming, Chief. Where are you? Thank you, Chief. I wasn't kidding about the Goombas, right? I made a lot of friends there, and still to this day, I love those guys. 11 months after getting hired about that, I got a call from Captain Dix. As the chief was telling you, he gave me an invitation to get hired with the butt, and the butt that was I go back through the death camp, as we called it, and it was pretty grueling, especially Pines and the county had a very similar, they were mirrored after each other. So just knowing I had to go back through that again wasn't my first choice of things to do, but I did it, and I never regretted doing that. So I agreed to join the county with 10 other new hires, and it was at the time of annexation when it still slowly started in our county and we started losing area. Then in '91, we had a glimmer of hope when Oakland Park came and merged with us at Broward County, and that was short-lived because with politics, they went back to Oakland Park. However, when they went back, me and the other guys I got hired with were the lowest seniority, so they were saying that we were going to Oakland Park. So I didn't think that was fair going from Pines to the county to Oakland Park, all my Oakland Park brothers, no offense. So I'm glad that worked out for all of us. But although the instability of the county was real, especially for the guys I got hired with, to me it was all worth it. Some of the cities who didn't know any better, they just thought of us as a volunteer fire department, ragtag. They didn't really know much what we were about. But that slowly started to change. As I look back where we are today, I couldn't be any more proud of our department. Looking back on all the uncertainty of our future makes me realize that how that made us as firefighters change, as paramedics change, as seaport firefighters change, as paramedics change. Everybody had to change for the better for the times. Consolidating these separate disciplines was a necessity because we had to make ourselves more relevant in the fire service. During those uncertain times, it made me appreciate this job and this department. I believe it made us closer as a department in a lot of ways. We really had to fight for our jobs. We have transformed into a huge department with 22 stations and I think about 680 personnel. This has been an unbelievable ride for me. Every shift going to work, not knowing what is going to happen, the adrenaline rush, the camaraderie, and all the cool stuff I got to drive. Rescue trucks, fire trucks, ladder trucks, tractor trailers. I drove an airport crash truck, not on the airport. Good thing. I drove an airboat in the Everglades, but I had to pull rank for that one. I even started to train on our big fire boat before it went out of service. The experiences that I had, that we as firefighters get, most people never get to do. I got to do all this as part of my job. Seeing the hazmat team evolve from when we used to respond in a bread truck to what we have now is amazing. Being on the hazmat team has been a great experience. Not only do we get to respond to our own department, we also respond throughout the county to other departments throughout the county. We are the 911 to the 911. My guys have me say that. I'm really proud of the way our team and the other 3 teams that we have, Sunrise, some of the hazmat team members from Sunrise is here, thanks for coming, Fort Lauderdale, and Hollywood. The way that we've been working together lately has been really Really nice. We had some good calls and some great teamwork in spite of some of the departmental politics, which tends to rear its ugly head. I hope the four teams continue to train together, continue to build a great relationship. Our hazmat team at BSO is amazing. The knowledge and passion of this team is great to see. The hard work that is put into this team, the extra training and studying, the building of props, to better ourselves, it's something that very few people get to see or even know that we do. But to watch the next generation of people, right there, it's unbelievable. Taking part of this team is very gratifying to me. I know where you're going in the right direction. During my career, I've been with a couple of crews that I appreciated and I want to acknowledge. We had great chemistry together, and we always got the job done. And these crews don't come along often, but when you're in one, you know it. Hazmat with Ed Federkow, Steve Anascavage, Gary McCartney, Craig Hilty, and the world famous Fluffy, Mike Silvestri. Station 27 with Captain Monroe. Scotty's back there. Joe Grace, Mike Russo, and Roy Antonucci. Another great crew in my career. And Station 36, Alan London, Chris Manguso, Mario Pichardo. Some of my favorite memories. Like I said, it's very rare to get a crew together that's just gels, and much less a station crew. And Station 17, since I've been here last 3 years, it's just unbelievable. Never had a crew together that shows the kindness and respect for one another. The men and women here on C Shift are just unbelievable. Thank you. I've seen what every one of you brings to this profession. I've watched this crew kick ass on some recent fires and some unbelievable medical calls with saves of little kids and everything. It's just unbelievable what you guys do. I'm definitely going to miss the time here, especially at the dinner table, the funnest times of the shift. To my crew at Hazmat, we've had some great calls together. We've had some really long calls together. You always brought the best every shift. I admire your passion and thirst for this specialty. I've learned a lot from each of you in our time together. Thank you for all the hard work, the professionalism, always making our team and department look good. I will miss all of you. I really want to keep this short because I have a job interview with the city of Hallandale at 11. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. I appreciate every one of you, everyone I work with all these years and most recently. Thank you.
As we conclude today, one last time, can I get everybody to stand up and give this guy a round of applause? Honor guard.